Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on YouTube, Twitter, X, and Instagram. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 and change. It's only been 12 hours since I was on your airwaves, but we are back on this Tuesday morning, September 30th, and we are better than ever. The Miami Dolphins won a football game last night. Yeah! Awesome stuff. An offense that finally looked like an offense, a running game that looked like a running game, a quarterback that looked like he could throw the rock a little bit, a defense that, though they could not stop the run to save their life, could force turnovers and bended and did not break. However, very sad with what happened with Tyreek Hill, the dislocated knee, the torn ligaments, out for the year, maybe more, who knows. Just another sad and serious injury to a great wide receiver in the National Football League. So we will break down the Dolphins 1-3, Jets 0-4. We had a twofer in Monday Night Football last night. The Broncos, they handled the Bengals 28-3. We told you last night on the Monday Night Football preview show that might happen, and it did. And then we must get into our Major League Baseball predictions, postseason coverage, the whole 9 yards. The postseason for Major League Baseball starts today, not tonight, today at 1 p.m. with the first wild card series, the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Indians. You have 4 games tonight. All 4 wild card games will be played tonight. 1, 3, 6, and 9 p.m. So saddle up. It's September 30th, but it feels like October because baseball postseason has started. We are broadcasting live on youtube.com/The Romanellas. That's youtube.com/The Romanellas. Hit the subscribe button. We love you for loving us. Just hit the subscribe button. We got a lot of content on that YouTube channel. We hope you enjoy it. The Rome Show 1, that's The Rome Show, then the number 1 on Twitter, X, and Instagram, and The Rome Show on Facebook. So many ways to get the show. We have a Twitter poll, Twitter X poll, Instagram poll, anywhere you want to go poll. All right, just type in The Rome Show 1. Our poll right now on the Twitter X Instagram sphere is, which New York franchise is more embarrassing? Okay, which New York franchise is more embarrassing? You got the New York Metropolitans or the New York Jetropolitans. So head over to Twitter X, The Rome Show 1. Head over to Instagram, The Rome Show 1, and give us a vote on which New York franchise you believe is more embarrassing. Let's start with the one that I believe is more embarrassing, and that's the New York Jetropolitans. And here is the deal, okay? Last night, you knew you were going to watch 2 pretty bad football teams. However, okay, no fan, probably even no analyst, thought that you'd be watching 2 what you felt like for some moments this year were atrocious football teams. I made the joke the other day to my team. I would not be surprised if we are trending towards another 2007, 2008, whatever year that was, 1-15 Miami Dolphins team. And there's no way, shape, or form is the talent on this roster at 1-15, but something wasn't right the first 3 weeks. Same thing on the flip side. for the New York Jets, longest standing drought, not making it to the postseason in the National Football League. Aaron Glenn comes in. He rejuvenates the organization. Guy played there. A lot of pride in the green and white. Comes in, says, we're going to be a disciplined football team. We're going to do things differently here. Well, through 4 games, it looks identical. And last night, what you witnessed was a Miami Dolphins football team take the appropriate turn in the 2025 season. And you watched a New York Jets football team be stuck in quicksand for what feels like the last 7 years. I mean, how many more times are we going to watch a Jets football team be undisciplined throughout the entirety of a football game? How many more times are you going to watch a Jets football team have flag after flag after flag called on them because they are an undisciplined football team? How many more times are you going to watch an offensive line break down in front of a quarterback? How many more times are you going to watch your team fumble the game to the opposing team because they just can't get out of their own way? Change the coach. Somehow you cannot change the undisciplined nature of this football team. And when Aaron Glenn came in as the head coach of the New York Jets, he said, we are going to be a disciplined football team. We are going to change that inside of our team. Well, it hasn't changed yet, Aaron. And it was on display last night. The lack of discipline that this football team has was on display last night. And if I'm a Jets fan, I feel no better today than I did after week 4 last year with Robert Saleh at the helm of the ball club. I feel no better. There is no better feeling for me as a Jets fan right now. I don't think the organization moved forward. I don't think we're in a better position. I don't think we have the right quarterback. I watched Monday Night Football last night in a twofold position. One, because I was ready to see what direction the Miami Dolphins were going in. Now, one victory against a lowly New York Jets team does not now change the direction of your franchise. We are now back on it, baby. Super Bowl for the Phins. Let's go compete with the Bills. No. But you were wondering as a Phins fan last night, and you've been wondering as a Phins fan the last few weeks, is this the coach? Is this the quarterback? Do we actually have the right pieces in place to compete? Because I'm watching this game and I see talent everywhere. A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, heck, Darren Waller, as you saw last night, 2 TDs when he's actually the guy you expect Darren Waller to be. Ollie Gordon III. There's talent on this roster. And you've been sitting here wondering, is this the coach? Do we have the quarterback? Is this the foundation to actually keep the Dolphins moving forward? Because you are in that really dangerous territory. You've witnessed 4 years of this iteration. You've seen it already. This is year 5. Is this what you want? Is this what you need it to be moving forward? And for 3.5 hours last night, though the run defense of the Miami Dolphins seriously needs to get an uptick, I saw what I've been expecting to see. An offense that could run the football. An offense that could incorporate all of its playmakers with creativity. An offense that could throw the ball a foot behind the line, 5 yards in front of the line, and 15 to 25 yards down the field. And I'm not going to get overly excited because, again, it's against the New York Jetropolitans. But last night for 3 hours, most of what I witnessed from the Miami Dolphins was what I expect the Miami Dolphins to look like. Okay? And so I'm fired up coming into this morning. I don't think I've worn a Dolphins hoodie in like 2 years. Okay? Now, again, all is not Okay, Tyreek Hill out for the year. Tua Tagovailoa, as everyone had to hold their breath last night in the third quarter when he went scrambling and got hit in the head. There's still that uncomfort of, will he be able to make it through a full season? And can he make those plays all the time? Because if we go back to the Buffalo Bills game, he lost us that game with his left arm. So there's still question marks on this team. But going to Carolina next week, then hosting a Chargers team that, though going into the Giants game, the Chargers look like one of the best teams in the league. Now they might not have an offensive line to protect Justin Herbert. Then you go to Cleveland. Then you go to Atlanta. Those are the next 4 games for the Miami Dolphins. And if you start 0-3 and you come away from the next 4 against the Panthers, the Chargers, the Browns, and the Falcons, and you are at a minimum 3-5, the whole season could look differently. Now, the back end of their schedule is pretty difficult, minus a throw into the Bengals and the Saints and the Jets again. But it's about week by week and figuring out, I'm going to keep saying it. I'll say it about the Giants. I'll say it about a lot of teams. Is this the coach-quarterback combination that you want moving forward? Last night, for at least 3 hours, the Miami Dolphins made us feel that way. The Jets, on the other hand, do I believe Aaron Glenn can be the coach? Yes. Yes, I don't say that with 100% confidence. I don't say it with 5% confidence either. I'm somewhere 50-50. I think Aaron Glenn can be the coach. But at the end of the day, it's a direct indictment on the coaching staff with the amount of undisciplined penalties this Jets team gets. We've talked about this with Brian Daboll a lot in the past. I believe, at least, this is me, I believe undisciplined football teams, undisciplined teams in general, that is a direct reflection on the coach. And that is a direct reflection on Aaron Glenn. So whatever he's doing to try and establish a more disciplined football team, it is not working, and something needs to change. On the flip side of Monday Night Football last night, the Broncos cruised to a 28-3 victory against the very lowly right now Cincinnati Bengals. And I think much like the Tua Tagovailoa situation in Miami, the Cincinnati Bengals might have the same concern with Joe Burrow. This is like the 3rd straight year you've been dealing with an injury or something from Joe Burrow. Let me just put it this way. It's been a lack of consistency from the Bengals after they made it to that Super Bowl. Like, you thought that was the start of, oh man, is this Cincinnati Bengals team going to be atop the AFC with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens for the next X amount of years? But that has not been the case. It's been inconsistent play, a lot of injuries, some injuries to Joe Burrow. It just has not matriculated after that Super Bowl versus the Rams like everyone thought that it would. And they dropped to 2-2 last night behind Jake Browning and a backup quarterback-led offense, which, before I get to the Broncos, let me just simply say this, Zach Taylor, offensive staff for the Cincinnati Bengals. You cannot call the same playbook with Jake Browning that you're calling with Joe Burrow. At least that's what I noticed last night while I'm watching this football game, okay? Because I had the 2 TVs set up last night. I had the one main TV giving me the Dolphins versus the Jets. And then I had my side secondary TV giving me the Broncos versus the Bengals. What I saw last night was a Bengals offensive staff that did not do anything to adjust their play calling to what their quarterback is. Your quarterback is not gunslinging Joe Burrow back there. We should not be sending Jamar Chase and whoever else all the way down the field for bombs. That's not going to be successful for your backup quarterback. Let's adjust the playbook here. Maybe we find a better way to run the rock or get a little creative or do some screen passes or whatever the hell everyone else does. Like, it was the opposite. You know how sometimes when a backup quarterback comes in, the fans start getting mad because the only pass plays are 1 yard in front of or behind the offensive line. And it's like, oh, well, they had to change the playbook for this guy. It's like, okay, so he's in the NFL, but he can't throw a ball 7 yards down the field. So, like, there's 2 extremes here. But what I thought I saw last night from the Bengals was, let's just play the exact same playbook. We're not going to change a damn thing. Jake Browning can do the entire – no, that's not it. You need to change your playbook. So the Bengals might need and have a Russell Wilson problem. The Bengals might need to go trade for Russell Wilson. And if it's not Russell Wilson, it's got to be somebody. Because the defense, though they gave up 28 points last night, was – I mean, your offense is on the field for 4 plays, you're off. So I don't expect any defense, no matter how good or bad they should be, to be able to hold the team down like that. And as you saw in the early parts of this game, they turned Bo Nix over. It was 14-3 at half. 21-3 at half. But it could have been 14-3 had Cincy just held on to the ball for the last minute and 20 seconds. Instead, they go 3 and out, don't burn the clock, and give the Broncos a chance to go back and score with 8 seconds left in the half. Okay? Well, you have a good enough defense and weapons enough on offense that if you can adjust this playbook or go get yourself a different quarterback that gives you more of a chance to win with this roster, because it ain't Jake Browning, you need to do that. On the flip side, I was scared for the first 10 minutes of this game for the Broncos. Then after that, it looked like they got their offense back. It starts with the running game. They had 186 yards on the ground. Their running backs combined for 159 of those yards. Huge for this Denver Broncos team. 9 different players caught a pass from Bo Nix last night. 7 different players with 2 or more pass receptions, and 5 different players with 4 or more pass receptions. Spreading the wealth. 4 different people scored a touchdown last night for the Denver Broncos. That's the type of offense that this team needs to be. Dynamic, spreading the football around, keeping the defense guessing. You don't have weapon enough in Denver to be able to say, that guy's Justin Jefferson, we're going to feed him the rock and let's ride. You have a bunch of number 2s and 3s all over the field. So your offensive play calling creativity is going to change or not change. It's going to open up or not open up your opportunity to score points for this Denver Broncos team. And nice of them, by the way, finally, to not lose a game by a field goal. This offense, though, has scored 20 or more points in the first 4 games of the season, and the defense has held 2 of their 4 opponents to 12 or less points. As this team continues to figure it out in the AFC, do not be surprised if in January we're talking about the Broncos as one of the final 4 teams remaining in the National Football League. It might not fully look like it now, and I understand that, but they have the talent, they can have the team to be there in the end. We're about to talk about that with Major League Baseball. Who's going to be there at the end of the postseason for Major League Baseball? We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we give you the postseason bracket in the MLB. Andrew gives you his first round predictions, and the Rome Show AI machine. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Rome Show AI will give you, I guess we call it an ITS. We'll call the AI an IT, okay? The Rome Show AI will give you its MLB postseason bracket predictions. Yes, we love technology. We love the Rome Show. We love you, the listener. Back after this. The Rome Show. We are broadcasting live on the YouTube, the Twitter X, Facebook, all the places. The Romanella's on YouTube, the Rome Show 1 on Twitter X and Instagram. You know the drill. If you are not following the show, if you're not subscribed to the show, you are making a huge mistake. Right now, broadcasting live Monday through Friday, pretty much at 7:05 in the morning. However, we've been entertaining the Monday evening jaunt, and it has been a lot of fun, and it seems like people like it too. So we might keep entertaining that as well. We got a poll up on the old Instagram. Let's check this thing out right now. So far, a lot of people voting that the Mets on Instagram are the most embarrassing. And let's look at our Twitter here. And we have the Jets right now as the most embarrassing New York franchise on the Twitter X. The Rome Show 1 on Instagram and Twitter X. Head there now. We have some polls up. I'd love to know your thoughts on what the most embarrassing team of the two is in New York. Well, the Mets are one of those teams, and yes, the Mets are not in the playoffs for Major League Baseball. So let's break it down for the people right now. First and foremost, here is your 2025 Major League Baseball postseason bracket. In the American League, the two teams with a first round bye are the number 1 Toronto Blue Jays and the number 2 Seattle Mariners. As I mentioned earlier, the wild card series tip off today, and they start in the afternoon. So it's a 1 p.m. first pitch for the Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland's the number 3 seed. If you do not know, well, I will remind you, the Detroit Tigers had a historic collapse in the month of September, playing to the tune of a .293 winning percentage, the worst for a team to make the postseason since 1903. However, somehow they still made it because there are 3 wild cards, and it is essentially be 3 games over 500 to have a chance to make the playoffs right now in Major League Baseball. Cleveland won their second straight AL Central because of that collapse and their great play in the month of September. So what you thought would be a clear home wild card series for the Detroit Tigers has now quickly, on the last day of the season, switched to Cleveland, who now holds that home field wild card advantage. For the American League East fans, they should be excited about wild card game series number 1. The Red Sox versus the Yankees, 12-12 series tie in the history of this heated, whatever word you want to use, rivalry. I mean, this is going to be a dogfight here. No doubt. 2, I think, really good pitching staffs, 2 offenses that can put up runs. I do give the slight edge to the New York Yankees, but I'll tell you who I give the edge to in the series once I'm done. Over in the National League, you have the 1-seeded Milwaukee Brewers, who we all feel like, at least if you've been following along here, we all feel like the Brewers have been the 1 seed for months and months and months. Okay, and the 2-seeded Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies straight up have the best chance to win the World Series throughout this entire bracket right here. I'll tell you that why in a second. The Phillies, will face the winner of the 3-seeded Dodgers versus the 6-seeded Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati is the Cleveland Indians on the NL side. They were not in the postseason. The New York Metropolitans were supposed to be in the postseason. The Metropolitans historically collapsed for the second time in what feels like the last 20 years. And the Cincinnati Reds played just good enough to get in. This is a dangerous team. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Cincy's going to beat the Dodgers, who are the defending World Series champions, and probably a lot of people's belief as to who could win or should win this World Series. I'm just going to tell you that's a dangerous team. No one wants to play the scrappy dogfight type team that barely gets into the postseason late, that cares about each other, that has a manager that's won 2 World Series in Terry Francona. If you could choose a manager that's going to end a World Series drought, my first bet is most likely going to be Terry Francona, and that's who the Cincinnati Reds have. Then finally, you have the number 4 seeded Chicago Cubbies against the number 5 seeded San Diego Padres. The 5-4 series on both sides of the wild card are stupid tight. Stupid tight. The gamut of things that can happen between the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Cubs and the Padres is off the charts. Let's give you, though, Andrew's prediction. We're going to go with here we go. Starting with the Guardians and the Tigers. I think Cleveland has too much good mojo going on. I never believe in the team that stumbled and bumbled their way into the postseason. The Detroit Tigers should not be happy with what they did. They should be disturbed that that's how the season ended. Do I think they're going to get swept in 2 games? No. I think they'll find a way to win one, but I'm going to take Cleveland in this series. 2 victories to 1. Flipping down to the Beantown, New York rivalry. Boston versus New York, Yankees versus Red Sox, the greatest rivalry in the history of sports, as you've heard people say a multitude of times, at least I have, in the sports world. What a different iteration of Yankees versus Red Sox. Why do I say that? Because 5-4-3 months ago, we had no idea that these teams might even be in the postseason. Now, for me, definitely believe the Yankees were in the entire year. Whether the Yankees fans believe they were good enough to win a World Series or not until about a month ago, that's a whole other conversation. But there was a lot of question marks about both of these teams in June and July. The Red Sox called up Roman Anthony. That gave them a spark. They traded away Rafael Devers. That gave them a spark. The Yankees, they lost Aaron Judge. They got him back. Giancarlo Stanton started to swing at Max Fried. And Carlos Rodon are throwing the rock. And the Yankees look like a complete baseball team. And all of a sudden now you forget about their defensive woes. You forget about some inabilities that they might have had, both teams. And you look at, not only could I see either of these teams beating each other, I could see either of these teams making a run and winning the World Series. You have Garrett Crochet as your number 1 for the Boston Red Sox. That might be all you need if he's lights out and can pitch 2 games in every series beyond the wild card round. My Yankees fans, friends, are not going to want to hear me say this, and I'm not saying this because I'm a bitter Mets fan. I'm just saying I think the Red Sox take this series 2-1 again. I'm riding the wave here with both the Red Sox and the Guardians. Let's go to the NL, the Dodgers versus the Reds. I think this is simple. I think the Dodgers win this 2-0. I don't want to be that guy. Again, not bitter Mets fan here. I just told you I like to ride the team that enters the postseason, but baseball does come down to how good the guy in that circle is throwing the baseball. And the Dodgers, they have some of the best in the game. Top to bottom, starting staff, bullpen, offense, base running, defense. You should put the Dodgers in the top 2 categories of any team left in the postseason. I think that's where the Cincinnati Reds magic runs out. Fun season, but it does not take them to Philadelphia. Dodgers 2, Reds 0. Finally, I got the Chicago Cubs versus the San Diego Padres. Now, the Cubbies are one of those teams, though people don't want to talk about it, though people might pretend to forget about it because they finally won a World Series in 2018, they historically find terrible ways to lose in the postseason. That's just a fact. Like, look at the history of the Chicago Cubs. They have found terrible ways to lose in the MLB postseason. Whereas the San Diego Padres, they got nothing to lose here. And they got some flair on that team with Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado Jr. And this is the quietest I've heard the San Diego Padres in the last 5 years. That's what makes them dangerous. They're out there in San Diego. They're looking like the little brother to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got a good matchup against a not that difficultly scary Chicago Cubs team. I'm not surprised right here if San Diego comes out of this wild card matchup. Give me the Padres 2 victories to 1. That is Andrew's first round MLB prediction. Let's look at our AI predictor here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering what the internet brains think for the World Series, for the wild card round, for the divisional round, let's start in the wild card round. Here are AI's picks for the first round. They got the Guardians in 2. They got the Yankees in 3. They got the Dodgers in 2. And they got the Padres in 3. So me and AI, we only disagree on the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Let's go to round number 2. Starting in the American League. The AI predictor believes the Blue Jays defeat the Yankees in 5 in the ALDS. And the Mariners defeat the Guardians in 4 in the ALDS. So AI predictor, heavy belief in the 1 and 2 seeds on both sides. As you can see, AI predictor believes Brewers in 4 over the Padres. That's a clean sweep, by the way. And Phillies over the Dodgers in 7. I could see that happening. The grittiness of the Philadelphia Phillies is what I believe can propel them the farthest. So we have an ALCS, Blue Jays at Mariners, and we have an NLCS, Phillies at Milwaukee. And we got the Mariners in 6 against the Toronto Blue Jays, and we got the Phillies in 7 against the Brewers, setting up the Phillies versus the Mariners in a World Series matchup, West Coast to East Coast. And according to the Rome Show AI predictor, the Philadelphia Phillies will defeat the Seattle Mariners in 7 games to win the 2025 World Series. I will save my picks and go round by round, but if you wanted a prediction from me out of my first round, I said it earlier, I believe the Phillies have the best chance to win this World Series, and I would not be surprised if we saw either the Seattle Mariners or the Boston Red Sox in that World Series. Why? Because I just have this weird feeling that it's not going to happen exactly how people expect. But I would tell AI. AI looks like you've got some good information as to why that might be the prediction. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Rome Show here on a Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, share it with a friend. Rome Show Podcast, wherever you get your podcast, all that good jazz. Subscribe on YouTube. You know the drill. Back tomorrow morning at 7:05 a.m. Enjoy your Tuesday. Make it an electric one. Andrew Romanella, staying Phins!